You're listening to Seek Travel Ride, a podcast all about sharing inspirational bike adventures from all over the world. And before we get into today's episode, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Red White Apparel. They've spent over a decade doing one thing, and that is making bib shorts which will keep you comfortable in the saddle no matter how far or how long you ride, even on those multi-day tours. As someone who's tried going chamois-free, I can tell you I need reliable bib shorts, and these are the best ones I've found lately. If you're looking for comfort which lasts, hit the link in the show notes and check them out. All right, now on to the episode.
Before the trip, I was like, okay, if I really am ready to go for a trip like this, I've never done any bikepacking trip before. I've hiked a lot and I wild camp a lot, but I've never done anything like this on a bike. So before the trip, I was a little bit worried if I would be able to do it. So of course the feeling at the end when I reached North Cape, it was like, okay, yeah, I did it. I made it to the North Cape with zero experience of bikepacking and everything went well. So yeah, it was just great.
Welcome to Seek Travel Ride, where we share the stories and experiences of people taking amazing adventures by bike. Whether it's crossing state borders, mountain ranges, countries or continents, we want to share that spirit of adventuring on two wheels with our listeners. Hello everyone, Bella Malloy here, host of the show, and I'm pretty excited for today's episode as we're going to be talking all about a place which is firmly at the top of my bike adventure bucket list. And that place is Norway. Our guest today is Slauka Macurak, an outdoors lover, very accomplished skier, and someone you may find cycling around her home in a small Austrian town. She'll be pulling a trailer with her amazing dog Henry inside. But combining riding bikes with travel is a relatively new thing for Slauka. And in May this year, she set off on a pretty awesome 3-week tour through Arctic Norway. And listeners, she did this as a complete beginner. So if you've ever wondered what it's actually like to jump in at the deep end on your first bikepacking trip, Slauka's adventure is one you need to listen to. Slauka took on the Eurovelo 1 route from the Lofoten Islands all the way to the Nordkap. A route like this meant having to ride through strong winds and freezing rain was definitely on the cards. Then, of course, there's the slightly intimidating Nordkap tunnel, which drops you in at 212 metres below sea level to deal with as well. But you'd be wrong to think this route is just a pure struggle fest because Slauka also experienced some pretty magical moments. She had reindeer sightings, multiple ferry crossings to remote islands, wild camps on beaches, and riding at a time when the sun doesn't really set. All along, Norway's putting on a spectacular show of pristine landscapes and natural beauty. If I was Slauka, I could imagine I'd just be cycling there with my mouth wide open going, wow! I love that Slauka chose adventure and took on this route as a complete beginner because it's proof you actually don't need to be super experienced in bike travel before you can ride these routes yourself. Listeners, I cannot wait to hear all about her adventure and how it all played out for Slauka. But word of warning, because I'm pretty sure it's going to have a few of us scheming a trip to Norway after this. Slauka Macurak, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bella. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and I feel so proud.
Oh, I cannot wait to dig into your story, Slauka. I remember vividly waiting every time to see your Instagram reels updating what the day was like and seeing Norway's landscapes and seeing you ride there because I visualized myself doing it one day. But Slauka, a question I start my show with, and I ask it of all my guests is, Slauka, do you remember the very first bike you ever rode?
Well, I don't think I remember the very first bike I ever rode, but I have a memory of probably one of the first bike rides with my family when they took me and my brother on a little loop around our village. And it was, back then, it felt like it was, never ending and very long. And you started going a little bit downhill and then you had to bike up. It was like a little uphill back to the village. And I remember me crying a lot on the uphill part and begging my dad to tow me up. He had this little piece of rope that he could tow me up. And I was really like, oh, please, Dad, I can't anymore. It's just so exhausting. I can't anymore. Just please help me. And he was like, no, it's just not steep at all. Like you can do it. You can do it. At the end, he, of course, told me up. But the funny thing is that that's the loop that I ride every time I go home. And it's like literally like 15 minutes. It's very short and it's like not steep at all. It's like completely flat. So I don't know what I was thinking back then. But every time I take this loop, I have to laugh because it's just so funny. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Like things that was so huge for us as children. And when you go back to the same things as an adult, I've mentioned it on a few episodes before when I've gone back to like the place where I grew up. And I used to ride my bike for a few hours, after school on the week, Slauka, just down the street. And I, in my mind, pictured that it was like the longest street in the world, where really it was maybe 100 meters. so,
Exactly.
So I can't imagine how many laps I ever did. But our adventures certainly grow on us. And what else I was thinking about when you were saying like you were wishing that your dad could pull you up with a tow rope. Here where I ride, I'm sometimes finding myself riding for maybe up to 2 hours up a very, very long mountain climb, doing ridiculously slow speeds. And the amount of times I've seen like a moto tourist on a motorbike coming past me and I'm just thinking, tow rope, do you have a tow rope? I wish, right?
Yeah, I had moments like this in Norway as well, I have to say.
Oh, my goodness me. We're going to get into that. Before we get into Norway then, like you were talking how when you go back home, you do that riding loop. Did you ride much when you were a child? Like growing up, was being on a bike something you did a lot of?
Not really, I would say. I mean, we had bikes with my brother, but we basically just rode around the house or like the village. But I don't remember, like, we would never take like big trips with my parents. And later on, I got into cross country skiing, and cycling was part of a training. So for me, it wasn't any fun. It was more like, okay, so you just did the running, you just did the cross country skiing. Now you have to do some cycling because it's a part of the training. So for me, it never was connected to any fun or adventure.
It was a fitness thing purely. It was like cross training for you to be able to be even better and go even further in your skiing.
Yeah, so I can't say I liked cycling when I was teenager or like back then.
But you definitely like mountains because you live on a mountain pretty much. Like you're in a ski village in Austria, right?
Yeah, I live in a pretty cool mountain village in Austria, and I also grew up I grew up in Slovakia and also in the heart of the mountains there. Also in a very small village, it's up on 1,000 meters, and there are big mountains around up to 2,600 meters. Some would say it's end of the world, so there is not much to do other than climb the mountains and go to the nature. So yeah, I really love nature and mountains, and it's a very strong part of me, so of my lifestyle. Yeah.
Gosh, listeners, I don't know about you, but Slauka, that's my definition of heaven if I was living at that type of end of the world. And I guess to some degree, my little village where I live here is very similar. It's all about the outdoors for me, and whether that's riding or hiking. Last weekend, I went on a really, really long hike and it just felt like I was going. I mentioned it to my husband. We were hiking through like a mountain forest where, the canopy is so thick. And it just felt like I was breathing the most purest oxygen in the world. And I was far away from any type of pollution, any noise pollution, any people. And it just felt like I was just re-energizing my soul. And I very much get the feel that they're the sort of things that you really enjoy outside in nature as well.
Yeah, for me, it's always been a place where I find my peace and where I can recharge. It's always been like this. I remember that it's always been like this. Just whatever was happening, just go out to the nature, climb the mountains, or just walk through the forest, or just swim in the mountain lake and relax and recharge. That was always my. I don't know if I should say a safe place, because mountains, of course, can be dangerous. But for me, for my inner world, it always was the safe place.
Yeah, or your happy place, maybe.
Yeah.
We mentioned skiing. I've seen footage of you skiing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
I've seen you skiing without skis on and like just ski boots. What is that about?
Well, it looks cool.
It sure does.
The thing is actually my ski boots are so old that the bottom is very slippery. So like all the plastic is very slippery. So that's why I can slide on them and it looks cool. But it's actually, I think it's a time for me to buy new ski boots, but then it's not going to be so much fun. So I don't know.
Do you also ice skate? Because it almost looks like you're ice skating on snow.
Well, not, I mean, yeah, sometimes with my friends, but not really. Like I don't do ice skating much.
And you mentioned obviously cross-country skiing. Downhill skiing is something you enjoy as well?
Yeah, I do a lot of normal alpine skiing as well. But if I could choose, then I would probably go on a ski tour. So with touring skis up to the mountains, I don't really like the masses on slopes. It's usually very busy. And especially if I have to work during the week, I only have weekends free. So it's only possibility for me to go skiing during the weekend, which is usually the busiest time. So yeah, I prefer ski touring.
Oh, well, just a little adventure thought for you, and maybe you've already thought about this, but I recently interviewed Steph Devry to catch up with her latest adventures, which, involved her, riding through the Alps and everything, but she's moved to Canada. And this year, she recently did a combination of a bikepacking / ski touring tour.
Wow.
So she strapped skis on, like ski touring skis onto her bike and would ride to places with a friend, camp at night, then, hike up, earn your turns, do some ski touring, come back to the bike and ride on. So, maybe that's going to be your next adventure.
Wow, that sounds really cool. I think I'm going to put it down on my to-do list and I'm going to dig in it more.
Here you go. Very, very cool. Well, I want to know then the obvious question is, how did you come up with the idea of bikepacking then? Like, I can understand you're an outdoors person. You live in the mountains and being outdoors and doing stuff outside is your thing and your happy place. But how does someone like you decide, I'm going to go to Norway and the best way to do it's going to be on a bike?
I think it all started in 2018, I think. I was in the deepest, dark, black hole of my life, like a very bad period. For some personal reasons. And I actually don't remember the moment when it happened, but I found this girl on Instagram. Her name was Nicole Hecker. And in 2018, she was cycling from Thailand to Spain.
Oh, wow. Big trip.
Yeah. And I think I'm pretty sure she was the first person I've ever seen cycling such a long distance. And I followed her trip, her journey for a couple of months until she actually reached Spain. And I saw those pictures from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan and all those beautiful countries, mountains, and all the scenery. I immediately fell in love with that style of traveling. And so I decided that I'm going to do a bikepacking trip in Kyrgyzstan next year. But then Corona hit. Everything got closed. All the borders were closed. And so I had to cancel all my trip. And then Henry came to my life.
Oh, we need to speak about Henry. Introduce Henry to our listeners, Slauka.
Henry is the cutest dog on this planet. He's a 6-year-old golden retriever. And he really likes to join me on my adventures. It doesn't matter if it's on the bike or in the mountains or swimming in the mountain lakes. He really enjoys the time outdoors as well as I do.
Because I've seen footage of you with like a kiddie trailer on your bike, but you have Henry in there, don't you?
Yeah. Well, it is actually a trailer for dog. It's not like for kids.
Oh, wow. It is a dog trailer.
Yeah, it is.
Of course they exist.
Of course.
Can I ask we're going to get to your Norway trip, but did you ever at all conceive whether it would have been possible to have taken Henry with you?
To Norway?
Yeah.
Actually, the first plan was to do it with him.
Oh, my goodness.
But when I looked more into the details of the route I wanted to take, I realized that it would never be possible because it was like 15,000 vertical meters. So really steep hills, and the trailer itself is 19 kilos and Henry is 31.
That's 51 kilos. You need Henry to have the tow rope.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that with Henry?
No, he's too excited when running, so he would be like sniffing right and left, and like running through the streets right and left. So I don't think it would end well. But after some trips, I was actually thinking like how to do it, because when it's flat, it's okay with those 50 kilos. But of course, you have some baggage as well, like you have some cooking stuff and tent and everything. So it comes up to maybe 75 kilos. I'm 53, so it's quite a heavy load for me. But we're still planning some longer adventures. So yeah, I will have to think about how to do it.
So hang on then. Let's just flash back to what you were talking about. So you discovered bike travel through this amazing woman riding all the way from Thailand to Spain. She gives you the idea that you want to go to the Pamirs and see big high mountains over in Central Asia. COVID happens, you can't do that trip. And then Henry happens. So what's happened in between Henry coming along and Norway, like with your bike adventures and all that type of stuff? Was that sort of like the dream is sort of put to the side pile at the moment?
Yeah, because obviously when you have a dog, you have to take care of it. Like you cannot just leave it anywhere for a couple of weeks. And going through the Pamir, it's a long trip. You cannot do it in 1 week or a couple of days. So I think I somehow decided to change my plans from cycling somewhere at the end of the world to doing little adventures maybe around my hometown, and to spend more time with him. And yeah, I didn't like the idea of just leaving him somewhere for such a long time, especially when he was a puppy.
I mean, he's a member of your family.
Yeah.
You can't just leave him behind. I can imagine that. Like even when you were in Norway, it wasn't you're not away for months, but I'm sure every single day you were missing Henry.
Yeah, of course. It's actually so funny because I obviously wake up very early because I need to walk him before I go to work. And if I am somewhere away from home without Henry, I always wake up very, very early automatically, even without alarm. And I feel like, oh, I would really like to go out with Henry now, but Henry is not with me. So sometimes actually I go and walk outside alone just to have the routine,
and that sort of connects you with Henry as well. I wonder whether he wakes up and goes, oh, I wonder where, oh, I mean, are you his mum? Would he be thinking, I wonder where my mum is, where my human is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting quite deep there. But you would take little adventures then with Henry, and when we're talking little adventures, like you quite rightly said, it's a heavy load to cart behind you. On the flat's fine. I mean, you live in Austria in a mountain town. How much flat's around you?
There is nothing flat around me.
I actually think the Austrian Alps and the mountain roads there have some of the steepest gradients actually as well. Like, we're talking about, and for people who know road cycling, a road cycling line like Grossglockner or something like that, that's reputed to have some of the steepest slopes on it. So how does that work with Henry?
Yeah, also the valley where we live is also very special because it's around 20 kilometers long, and it's not like the beginning, the first I think 17 kilometers or something. It's not completely flat, but it's only like
2-3% or something like that, or 5. Yeah.
And the last 3 or 4 kilometers are 300 vertical meters. So wherever you go, and when you want to cycle back home,
you've always got a 10% gradient. Oh my gosh, that's
you're
killer.
like, oh, it's only 3 kilometers to go, but it's still 300 vertical meters. So
I know what that's like exactly, because where I used to live in Australia, my house, we lived on the edge of a lake, but we were in the mountains, and we had a 300-meter vertical climb if we ever rode straight from our house. And so it was killer. Like it was either a heart starter or a heart stopper, depending on how you felt the day. And even worse, actually.
Yeah.
So if you did ride from home, you had a big 300-meter vertical ascent without any warm-up. And then you'd think, well, that's cool because you had a really good downhill back home, which is true, except we seemed to pick a house that was on a street that was at the end of like a 20-odd% gradient for about 150 meters. So it was only short, but you were out of the saddle, putting everything you could just to move like half a meter each pedal turn. It was like a death of 1,000 cuts. So
I actually started to drive my car those 3 kilometers
No
down.
judgment. I've done this. I've done this.
Because if I knew I was going for a longer ride, I really didn't want this last 300 meters climb. So I just left my car before those 300 vertical meters.
There is no shame in this.
Maybe it's cheating, but yeah.
It's not like your rides don't involve elevation. Even if all you did was ride those 17 kilometres in the valley that's not, super steep, even just riding them back home gives you a big chunk of elevation as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you like when you are on flat rides? Like, do you enjoy flat roads?
Actually, last weekend I took a ride around Chiemsee. It's in Germany, very close to a place where I live. And on 65 kilometers, it only had 160 vertical meters, which means it was very, very flat. And it went all around the lake, so you had always the water on your side. And I have to say, I loved it. After cycling so many hills up here in the mountains, it was very, very nice. Like the kilometers were going so fast, I couldn't believe it. Like how fast I was all of a sudden.
I need to rewire my brain for that because, again, where I live, I don't struggle for riding up steep climbs. And there is one option for a flatter climb, which is a disused railway line, and it's the Voie Verte, the Greenway. And it's beautiful because, it goes along the river and you're in the flat of the valley. So you've got the big mountain peaks either side of you and it's very la la la. Yeah, I struggle with that really big. And listeners of the show, I'm a broken record on this. But yeah, I don't know why, Slauka, but I also seem to struggle energy-wise with that as well. So, a lot of people getting onto a mountain climb deplete your energy stores and then there's nothing. But for me, I seem to trigger that only when I'm on the flat road.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah.
It sounds like you sort of have found a way to have these awesome mini adventures. But Norway, how did that idea come to you? Because you obviously had to park the Central Asia, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Pamir Highway type of dreams aside. But then Norway, where did you come up with this idea?
I guess I always wanted to visit Northern Norway. I saw some cool pictures of Lofoten and all those areas there, and I was like, okay, this is really a place where I want to go and see. And since I usually do travel solo, I was thinking of the options, like how could I go there, see the place, and not spend too much money for renting a car by myself and paying the room or hotel by myself. And then I somehow started to think about this bike touring again. And I think it was actually Wipke Luhmann.
Oh, hey, Vibka.
Hi, Wipke.
She rode to North Cap as well.
Exactly. And I saw her movie on YouTube, On Her Own, I think it's called.
It's a brilliant movie.
And I think I've seen it 4 or 5 times. And I was like, okay, this might be the way how to see Northern Norway and experience it and then, yeah, go for an adventure.
And it's also the length of an adventure that, if Henry's at a dog sitter or with a friend or something, it's an okay amount of time for him to be somewhere.
I knew I wouldn't be able to do the same length as she did. So I was looking at the route I could do in 3 weeks. That was the time I could take off. Actually, I took 4 weeks, but I had to bring Henry home to my dad. And then I had 3 weeks for cycling. So I was like, okay, it would be fine with 1,500 kilometers. So where should I start to reach the North Cape? And it's around 1,500 kilometers. And then the idea of the starting in O over Lofoten, Tromsø, Alta to North Cape.
Oh, I love this. Now, hang on. The town of Å, which is how you pronounce it in Norwegian, it looks like the letter A, doesn't it, with like a little circle on the top?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's actually the last letter of the alphabet there.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so I thought it's a pretty cool idea to start in a village named O and cycle to the end of the world.
Can I just say, like, your route is a blueprint. I'm so taking it because I think it's what I dream of when I'm thinking of Norway. It's just got everything there, including the weather, obviously. But I guess you sort of have to have that type of experience for it to be a Norwegian experience. Like, Maybe you don't. Maybe you would have. I mean, everyone would gladly say, I don't want any windy weather. I don't want any icy rain. But to me, it comes with cycling there. Like it's part of the experience. Do you agree on that idea?
Yeah, Norway, especially northern Norway, is very windy and it can be very cold. The weather can change very, very fast there. But yeah, I think that's the part of the adventure. Like everyone can ride their bikes when it's sunny and no wind, and it's such an extra experience if you need to cycle in very heavy front wind, headwind, and maybe it's even snowing or a heavy rain. It's completely different experience.
To me, sometimes even worse than a horrible headwind is like the crosswind coming from the side. That to me is a real hard battle because you struggle to stay upright. You struggle for a really strong wind gust not to actually physically blow you off the road as well. Did you have you would have had a lot of crosswind as well, no doubt.
Yeah, I actually remember one moment when the wind was so strong that I thought, okay, I need to film this. So I took out my Insta camera on the selfie stick and I tried to film it, but I couldn't steer with one hand, holding the selfie stick in the other hand. So yeah, the winds were very, very strong there.
I saw actually there was one part of your video where you're just walking your bike up the hill and you're going, what am I doing? What am I even doing?
Oh, yeah, that was Senya. Actually, that was first I thought that's like the worst moment of my trip, but actually it turned out to be the funniest and the coolest evening of the whole trip, I think.
And whereabouts does Senya actually come in on your route as well? Are you past the halfway mark? You're very close to Nordkap at that stage, or?
It's before the half, I would say.
Probably a week or so in at least.
I think it was fifth or sixth day of my trip when I arrived there. Yeah. And it was the day before I cycled with my friends. I had some friends visiting me for 2 days. And then I left, I carried on alone and I took a ferry to Senya in the afternoon at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And as you have the light all day long, I was like, okay, whatever. It's 5 o'clock in the evening, so I still can cycle for 50 kilometers. I found a place at the beach where I could wild camp. And I was tired. It was already fifth or sixth day. And the first kilometers on Senya was quite hilly. So I was a little bit tired. And then I looked at the map and I was like, oh, it's only like, I can't remember, maybe 15 kilometers to go to the camp. So let's just go. But as I was tired, I didn't read the map correctly. I didn't check that it was still like 300 vertical meters on those 15 kilometers or something. Or actually on the first hill, it was like very steep and I didn't read it on the map. So I just started to cycle and then all of a sudden I looked in front of me. I was like, what the heck is that? Like there was this huge mountain pass that was completely covered in snow. And so I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like I cannot pitch my tent here because it's completely under the snow, everything. And the snow was already very wet. It wasn't this nice dry snow, but it was very, very wet. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to have a snack, drink some water, and I'm just going to start cycling over the hill. And it was too steep, so I had to push my bike. And I was really angry with myself. How could I read the map wrong at that time of the day? It was already like 9:30 or something like that. I was getting really tired and I was almost like crying. I was like, okay, if there is a car passing me by, I'm gonna ask them to stop and bring me up to the path. And then actually a couple of seconds later, there was a car passing by and they stopped next to me. And this Italian guy called Paolo.
Buongiorno, Paolo.
Paolo, yeah, like, buonasera, how can I help you? Or he actually asked like if he could help me somehow. But I had this heavy bike loaded with all the bags and he had a very small car. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I would really love you to help me, but I don't know how. And he was like, you know what? I always wanted to try bikepacking. So let me ride your bike up to the hill, up to the pass, and you can warm up in the car. He was there with his girlfriend. So she drove the car and I just sat on the front seat with the seat heating, enjoying the view. And Paolo, the Italian guy, was riding my bike up to the pass. It's like a really Italian story in the middle of Arctic Norway.
Have you kept in touch with him? Like, do you have his details? Did you keep in touch with him? I wonder if he's bike packed ever since.
I don't know if he bike packed ever since, but we are in contact on Instagram because actually he turned out to be a photographer. So that was the reason of his holidays in Norway. His girlfriend, they just came there to take some really cool pictures. So he took actually some pictures of me pitching the tent and biking and like a pretty cool sunset at the beach. And so yeah, we are still in contact because he's still sending me some pictures. So yeah.
Paolo, if you listen to this, you're an absolute legend. I just what a road angel. Hikers talk about trail magic, and this is the sort of awesome stuff that you can never plan for. It's such a serendipitous moment, but what a beautiful thing to have happened, because you're at your lowest low, and then all of a sudden it's like a miracle occurs.
Yeah, exactly. He literally saved my day. And when we met again at the top of the pass, he was like, "Oh, this is so much fun. Are you still cold? You can still sit in my car, and I'm gonna ride all the way down to the camping or to the beach where I wanted to stay overnight, which was another, I think, 12 kilometers or something." So he just asked me for some gloves. I gave him my helmet, and he cycled all the way down to the beach while I was warming up in his car. So it was really cool.
Listeners, if you're planning a multi-day tour, don't underestimate how important good bib shorts are. Trust me, I've done big days in the saddle, I've done the back-to-backs, and comfort really, really matters. I ride in red white apparel because they just work. The chamois holds up day after day, and their pee-break friendly design makes life on the road so much more convenient. Hit the link in the show notes and check them out for your next big ride. Now, back to the episode. What a magical moment. So that happened in Senya. All right, let's wind back to,
Yeah.
Let's wind back to the start. Well, actually, I want to wind you even a little bit beyond that, because one of the first hurdles that you have to overcome when you're taking a bike adventure to Norway and the way you did was actually getting you and your bike to Norway. Like you take a flight there and then you got to build your bike up. Well, you first have to hope that it arrives, right? That's always a stress. Anyone who's ever traveled with a bike, whether it's in a cardboard box or whether it's in a bike bag, it's always a stress. Is it going to turn up?
It is.
It obviously did, but then you've actually got to put it together.
Yeah.
How did you go with that?
Well, there was the first moment I almost lost my nerves because
as an Aussie, I would have rephrased that. I would have lost my shit. But anyway.
I thought it would take me like half an hour or something, but I think I spent almost 2 hours putting it back together. It was, oh my God, I was really losing it. I couldn't put one single screw straight in the hole. I don't know why. Like everything took me, I don't know, 2-3 times longer than normally. And I was a little bit in stress because there was this shop in Bodo where I had to go to get gas bottles for the gas stove. Which because you obviously cannot fly with it. So I knew it's open until 10 o'clock in the evening. So I had to be in the shop before they close. So that was tough. But yeah, I finally, after 2 hours, made it. And I also made it to the shop. I bought some gas bottles. And then I actually went back to the airport because I had another, I think, 3 hours until my ferry to Lofoten.
Because that was like a midnight ferry or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I arrived at Bodo, I think, around 8 o'clock in the evening or something like that. A little bit earlier, around 7, I think. And the ferry was at 2 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Arriving in Lofoten at 7 o'clock in the morning. And the shop closed at 10 o'clock and it was raining outside. So I was like, what am I going to do? Like, it's another 4 or 5 hours to hop on the ferry. So I went back to the airport because I knew it was open until midnight. So I went back to the place where I was putting my bag together because there was like this huge bench or a chair or a couch. And I actually laid down there and I slept there for 2 hours until the security guy came to kick me out because they were closing the airport at, I think, 1 o'clock at night or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. There's going to be people who've, gone on a big bike adventure in different places around the world who will have lived this experience of, sleeping at an airport. I remember Claire White. I spoke to her before she started her huge journey from Mongolia to the UK, which she's finished now. An amazing ride. But I remember when I finished, she said, I'm off to Heathrow now and I'm going to sleep overnight at the airport.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, why not? It's warm, it's dry, it's open, it's public, so why not?
It's safe enough. Exactly. Exactly. Catching the ferry and arriving then at Lofoten, what was that like?
I actually chose the ferry because I knew I could sleep for 6 hours.
That's a great scheme too.
And I would arrive very early on Lofoten, so I wouldn't lose any time, basically. So arriving in Lofoten was amazing, but there is something I experienced before.
Oh, yes.
And there is this funny story because on the ferry you have these long benches on the like around the ferry basically, and there were some tables in front of it. And I saw some people sleeping on the benches. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just take out my sleeping bag and sleep on the bench as well. And I slept for I think 2 hours or 3 hours or something like that. And then there was a stop at an island. I don't remember the name. So there was like a middle stop before arriving at Lofoten. And I was halfway asleep, but I still could hear that there were some people coming. So obviously some people entering the ferry again. And I fell asleep again. And then all of a sudden I woke up because I could feel someone sat down next to my feet, like very, very close, like basically touching my feet. So I was halfway asleep. So I just pulled my legs a little bit up to my chest, to make more space for that person that was obviously trying to sit next to me. And 5 minutes later, that person moved again closer to my feet again. So I moved my feet again, like a couple of centimeters higher up. And I was like covered in my sleeping bag and I had like a head over my eyes so I couldn't see the light. And then it happened again. And then I moved again. And then all of a sudden, I felt that someone literally sat down on my feet.
Oh, gosh.
So I then stood up and I was like, what the hell is happening here? And there was this old lady who just sat down on my feet for whatever reason. I don't know. And she started to talk to me in Norwegian. And you could hear from her voice that she was angry. But I actually speak some Swedish, so I could understand what she was saying. And she was trying to say that I should move because she wants to sit down. But the funny thing is that all the benches, all the tables were empty. So I was the only person sleeping on the bench.
But she wanted to see where you were.
Exactly. And I was like, I just then moved away from her and I fell asleep again. And I had another 2 hours of sleep. But I was like, okay, if this is the start of my Norwegian adventure, that's not very good. So I was like, breathe in, breathe out, just calm down. This old grumpy lady is not going to destroy your trip to Norway. So I calmed down a little bit and fell asleep again eventually. Yeah, and then I arrived at Lofoten. I went out of the ferry and I actually met a cyclist there.
Were they on the ferry as well? Or?
Yeah, he was on the same ferry as me, but we didn't meet on the ferry. We met outside the ferry. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good sign because I was a little bit worried, like if I'm not too early in the season.
Because what time of year were you there? Let's just put a timeline on this.
I flew to Norway on the 20th of May.
Yeah, late May, but it's very early in the season.
It is. Yeah, I was counting on cold days and maybe snow in some parts. But I also knew that it's still before Norway gets very crowded. So that's why I actually chose this time of the year. But when I went out of the ferry and I met this cyclist, I was like, okay, well, I'm not the only crazy person who's going to cycle through Arctic Norway now. And he was actually also, he was a French guy. He was also on his way to the North Cape, but he was very... how shall I say? He was aiming on a good time. He wanted to arrive on the North Cape, I think, in 8 days or something like that.
Wow!
And he actually started in France, so he's been on a route for like 2 or 3 weeks or something like that.
Having experienced what you did at that time of year, would you recommend other people go at that time? Or if you were to go back again, and it sounds like you'd go again in a heartbeat, would you go and do it at the same time? Would you wait another week? What do you think?
I think I would go exactly the same time. Because also last season was a little bit different to other seasons, maybe, because at least in Austria or mid Europe, the snow arrived very late. So, of course, the situation in Norway was also different to other seasons. So, I wouldn't change anything. I would still go that time of the year. It was a little bit cold, and there were some passages with a lot of snow. That's true, but it was basically empty. There were no tourists. All the campings were free. All the cool spots for wild camping were also empty. I was basically alone almost all the time, which was actually really cool.
When you were talking about the passes had snow, was it more that it was snow banks on the road, or did you have to actually walk over snow? Like, could you still ride your bike on those roads?
There was just one place where there actually was snow on the road, and I had to push my bike over a snow. But normally it was just like snow on the side of the road, so the roads were clean and dry. But there were up to 1.5 meters of snow at some passes.
Because that early in the season, I know, for example, here where I am, where there's a distinct season and a time of year for tourist season, a lot of places just aren't open until it is tourist season. What about for you there? Like, it's great when the camping places, like everything's to yourself, but from a resupply point of view and logistically, like, did you ever have problems finding places to go buy food or resupply with whatever, or was that fine?
No, that was actually always fine. The only thing you need to know before going to Norway is that on Sunday everything is closed.
Oh, it's a bit like France.
Yeah. So if you count on, or if you plan some trip maybe in remote areas, make sure you either have enough food on you or you don't go there on Sunday.
Are they
Yeah.
closed full stop? Like when I joked about France, there's generally always like a supermarket or a bakery that might be open for the morning. But in Norway, is it fully closed?
I think it depends. I actually found one bakery with a cafe that was open on Sunday as well. And there was also one restaurant open that was on the long high plateau between Alta and Oldafjord. It's like 105 kilometers with nothing, like literally nothing, no houses, anything. And after 85 kilometers, there is a very little town with a petrol station. And I saw on Google Maps that there was a restaurant supposed to be. But it was Sunday, so I was like, I really hope that the petrol station is open on Sunday, just to at least go inside and warm up a little bit. But actually, the petrol station was closed, but the restaurant was open.
Oh, wow, dreamy.
Yeah, I was very lucky.
Well, this is a really good little way for me to bring up food because I always have to talk about food at some stage during the podcast. Tell me about a Norwegian food experience because, and I have to ask this from the point of view of there's many things I know about Norway and I know about its natural beauty. I know about certain places, Lofoten and all of that and the fjords, the endless summer days. But I actually don't really know that much about food other than Norway is really, really expensive. And so whenever I've planned on being in Norway, I've always thought if I was there on a bike, I'd bring a whole heap of food with me so that I wouldn't have to spend a lot of money on food. What can you tell me about Norwegian food and how did you budget and plan with food and stuff like that as well?
I also brought some food from home. So I had, I think, on first 2 or 3 days, I still had some dried food from home. I only ate in restaurants, I think, 3 or 4 times. And it was usually the restaurant just next to the road.
Yeah.
So I usually had like a burger or something like that, just the fast carbs.
Yeah, but also when it's that cold outside, it's sort of the food you crave in a way sometimes.
Yeah, I think it was more like a mental break.
Totally.
And but yeah, you have a lot of supermarkets on the way, or most of the gas stations have little shops with grocery in there. There are also some groceries that you just enter with your credit card, so there's no stuff. You just take whatever you want to. You pay it by credit card, and you go out. So I was basically buying just some pasta with pesto, or just a bread with some cheese and or some juices. I mean, it was much more expensive than you can buy groceries in Austria, for example. I remember like a 1 liter of orange juice was, I think, around 65 kroner, which is I think around €6, which is which is much more than I would buy a 1 liter juice here in Austria. But since I was not like eating in restaurants every day and just buying like a basic food that didn't come that expensive.
Was there something that was typically Norwegian that you came across that you tried at all? And I don't know, probably says more about me. I'm always thinking about like a Norwegian chocolate bar or something like that. Like, was there any special Norwegian food that you came across that you tried?
Yeah, like on every petrol station, you can get those hot dogs there. Like it's everywhere. It's the same hot dog on every gas station, and you also can get waffles almost everywhere.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and it's sometimes just a plain waffle, and sometimes it's with this brown cheese. I don't know if you heard about it. It's like caramelized cheese. It's literally brown. It's cheese and it's brown, and it's somehow I don't know how they produce it, but it's kind of sweet-ish.
Oh, that sounds weird. Different. Like it's
No,
definitely
it's
not like a
actually
French fondue or something. Yeah, it's not like a raclette cheese or something like that.
I don't like it to eat it as just like a piece of cheese because it's a very strange taste. But if you put it in a sweet waffle and you make it warm, it's delicious. And you can get those waffles almost on every gas station, and you get them warm. So it's really cool. And it's like a cinnamon waffles with this brown cheese. So it's really cool.
Oh no, I'm there. I've now put that at number 2 on my bucket list of things to try in Norway. The other thing that I noticed, Slauka, was where you were staying. Now, you were wild camping, but periodically there were also these like awesome huts along the trail as well where you could stay and provide shelter. They even have like a wood stove and, for keeping yourself warm and things. Did you know these existed before you went there?
Yeah, I actually did. I I actually spent months preparing for this trip. I checked on some Facebook groups. There were these forums about all the places where you can stay. There is also a very good website. It's called Cycle Norway. It's a English guy, Matthew.
Oh, I've watched his YouTube videos.
Yeah, I watched all his YouTube videos.
Yeah. Matthew, I need to get you on the show.
And he's really good, doing a good job with like giving good tips.
Yeah.
On this website, Cycle Norway, you also can get like all the GPS of the routes and also all these huts or where you can resupply or gas stations and everything. So I also looked at his page and checked like, okay, what are the parts of the route where it might be difficult to resupply or find a camping spot. So I actually wrote down a lot of notes before I went to Norway, and I took it with me. It was like written by hand on a piece of paper in case my phone breaks down. And so I knew of some of the huts, some of the places where I could stop when the weather was not nice, or if I just really needed to warm up maybe for a couple of hours or stay overnight. That actually helped me a lot. I think I was very well prepared just because of all these Facebook forums and Matthew group and also a lot of YouTube videos. And that helped me a lot to get a picture of what that adventure might look like, what the weather might be like. And yeah, it really helped me a lot to prepare for everything that what could come to me on the journey.
Which I think is amazing because, it's like when we were talking about a beginner taking on a bikepacking route like this, if I reflect on myself and my first bikepacking trips that I took, I did them in what I would call a credit card style tour where, I'm not even wild camping or camping, or, even at a paid campground. I'm staying from hotel to hotel. So, it's sort of easing me into having to carry gear, but it's not super heavy because I don't have camping and cooking gear with me and stuff. Whereas you're at the other end of the spectrum and you're in Norway. So it's not like it's flat terrain. You've got some decent elevation that you're going to be dealing with. You've got the weather coming in every different, and the weather adds to the atmosphere. Like I imagine in a country like Norway, you probably had snow showers, you definitely had rain, you definitely had strong winds, but you also would have had incredible light and magic sunny vistas and cloud magic over fjords as well. But you've got so much to deal with anyway that the idea that okay, these huts exist for camping, this is where I can resupply. I think that's awesome intel. Like that's fantastic.
It's a huge help because you, as you said, like you have this weather, you have these vertical meters. You also have a heavy load. Like my bike was around 20 kilo. I mean, the bike plus 20 kilos. So it's not the easiest.
No.
So it helps you, or it helped me a lot to know, okay, I can wild camp if I want, if I find a nice place. I looked at the weather forecast, and if the weather was nice overnight, I would wild camp. But if I knew there was bad weather coming in the late afternoon or overnight, I already knew, okay, I have, let's say, 80, 90, 100 kilometers to bike to this hut where I can hide if there is a storm coming or a rain or if it's too cold at night. Because actually, I have to say, I was very lucky with weather. Like in all those 15 days, I had to take a rest day for 3 nights, so 2 days and 3 nights, because it was raining like heavily 2 days in a row. And I had some rain in the afternoon when I arrived at Tromsø, but most of the days, or all the rest of the days, I actually had nice weather. It might be cloudy, but there was no rain. But there was quite some rain coming at night. So I actually didn't wild camp as much as I wanted. But I was still lucky enough to have a nice weather during the day. The bad weather would come overnight.
Yeah, if you're ever going to have bad weather as a bikepacker, you want it to be overnight, not during the day.
Yeah. So I was very lucky, and I knew about those huts. So I knew, okay, like let's say at 5 o'clock the storm was coming. So I knew, okay, I would have to start maybe a little bit earlier in the morning to make those 120 kilometers to the hut.
Are those huts all along the way? Like I mentioned, that this is like the Eurovelo 1 Arctic coast route?
Yeah, I follow this Eurovelo 1. It's also a part of the Norway's national cycle route.
Okay.
And I don't think they are all over the road, but in Norway there is this tourist association, or whatever is it called, where you can actually, you buy kind of like a year card, and you get access to all of these mountain huts all over Norway.
Oh, wow, this sounds great.
You pay, I think, around 80 or 90 euros per year, and you get access to all the huts. Some of them you need to pick up a key, like a physical key, and some of them you just get like a code, and you can get in all those huts for free.
Oh, this is awesome. Slauka, quickly, is part of you like tempted to go back within the next 12 months and just access some of the huts again?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I didn't actually spend any nights in those huts, because they were not really close to the main road. They are more like in the mountains, and obviously if you have,
yeah, if you're hiking.
Exactly, yeah. So they're better for if you maybe connect it with hiking as well. Then it's fine. But you obviously don't want to push your bike somewhere up the hill.
Yeah, I was thinking if you were ski touring and ski packing, maybe this could work.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But you'd have to lock your bike somewhere and then hike to the hut, then ski back down and get to your bike.
Yeah, I don't think I would have to lock it because Norway is so safe, but I would definitely have to leave it somewhere.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure that's what Steph did. Oh, wow. I'm putting ideas into your head. There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my God. Wow.
Because these huts that you were saying, I've stayed in Australia. We have huts where I used to ride in the Australian high country, and they were from, they harked back to when Australian farmers used to have stock and cattle up in the high country and graze, and they used to have huts, typical to like a refuge or something like in Europe, where or a Scottish bothy in Scotland where they could hunker down as well. And now they're used for people who are bikepacking or on day hikes. Is that sort of similar? Like the huts in Norway, they're different depending on where you are. Like, do you get to some of them and, they might fit 1 or 2 people? Like, would some of them fit 3 or 4 people? Are some of them bigger, some of them smaller? Like, what can you expect at these huts?
You mean the huts from this tourist association, or?
From the ones that you came across?
So the first hut I stayed at was this Sikkelhuset, it's called. It's actually a wooden hut built especially for cyclists.
How awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like a little bit away from the main road, and it's directly on the beach. It has two levels. The bottom one is just wooden walls around. And on the top level, you have these glass windows, like 360 view of the surrounding. which is pretty cool. But as it's glass windows, it's super hot because you have sun 24 hours.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so it was actually, I woke up, I don't know how many times at night because I was so sweaty.
Did you ever think you would be too hot in Norway?
No. I didn't even sleep in my sleeping bag because it was so hot. I just laid on it in my t-shirt and my shorts because it was way too warm inside.
What about though when you were like on the times where you did wild camp? What was that like? Were you cold? Like what sort of sleeping bag did you take with you? What sort of temperatures were you getting overnight?
So it can get very cold at night in May in Norway. So I think the temperature was around maybe 3-4 degrees at night. Some nights, sometimes maybe it was 7-8. So I had one sleeping bag that was up to 5 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm usually very cold at night.
Yeah.
So I had another, it wasn't a sleeping bag, it was a down blanket that you can either use it as a blanket or you can put it in a liner in your sleeping bag. So I had them too in case that it wasn't that cold. I would just use my normal sleeping bag. And for nights when it was a little bit colder, then I would use the liner as well.
Well, that's a really smart idea. I've got a silk liner which I can use in my sleeping bag. I don't know that it would add as much warmth as what your extra down sort of quilt would do, but that's a great hack. And actually, I think I've interviewed a couple of guests from Denmark, Martin and Katja, and when they cycled through South America, they went all the way up to Vancouver. But when they were in the high mountains of Peru and Bolivia, they were talking about they brought 2 sleeping bags with them for that very reason. So
I didn't want to take just one very warm backpack because sleeping bag, because I didn't know what the temperatures will be like in that time of the year in Norway. So I wanted to be prepared for everything because the worst thing that can happen to you is that you're cold at night, so you don't sleep and then you're tired next day. And so actually that was a good idea, I have to say.
Listeners, if you've ever done a long day on a bikepacking trip or a cycle tour and ended up sitting on the ground, in the grass or on a rock, well, you know the value of a good camp chair. I personally use the Helinox Chair Zero. I love it because it's super light, it packs down tiny, and honestly, it makes evenings at camp way more comfortable. Now, I don't have a discount code for you, but if you're thinking of picking a camp chair up, hit up my affiliate link, which you'll find in the show notes. That will help support me and this podcast out at no extra cost to you. Thanks so much, and now back to the episode. What about on the bike and dealing with riding through cold or rainy weather and stuff? Like, how did your clothing and stuff stack up for that type of riding?
I had the Gore-Tex jacket and Gore-Tex pants actually almost all the time, or most of the days, because of the wind. Some days I had more layers underneath, for example, the high plateau between Alta and Oldafjord, that was very cold. There was the outside, the air temperature was 3 degrees, but it was 10 meters in second wind, which made it feel minus 10 degrees or something. So I remember that day I actually put everything on I had with me. I even used the winter gloves. I had winter gloves with me as well, and that was the only time I used them. But most of the days I only had a merino shirt, long sleeve shirt, and long pants, warm pants under the Gore-Tex pants, and that was fine. I had thin gloves as well, and I used them actually quite a lot because it was when you're on a bike you get this wind and everything, so it's a little bit colder than you're just maybe hiking or walking.
There's also an element, especially when you're on terrain that's not just constantly flat. Like when you're going up a hill, you're going to get warmer because you're sweating and you're using more energy to get up the hill. But then when you go down the hill, it's that balance. Yeah, and also because you have been sweating, so you really need to insulate against the wind hitting any wet clothing and stuff like that from your sweat too. How did you find that? Were there very long descents that you had to manage and really, really cold, or you just found that you found the right perfect balance for you?
Since I go to mountains a lot, I think I have a good feeling for what I have to wear for what conditions.
I was thinking this. I was thinking if anyone's going to be prepared for this type of weather is someone who feels at home on a ski resort in a mountain or in a ski tour. Do you think that helped mentally know that you were going somewhere where it was going to be cold?
Definitely. Yeah. I've experienced very bad weather up in the mountains. I've experienced some thunderstorms and I experienced some snowstorms. So I think that made me feel very comfortable. Like I've been to so many different situations up in the mountains. Yeah, I basically knew maybe what I could expect from the weather.
Mm.
Yeah, that made me feel quite comfortable. Like I knew what to pack, I knew what clothes I should wear when. I even had like a BB bag
Yep.
with me just in case something happens and I need to wait somewhere for like a doctor or something.
So smart.
Obviously, you never know what the weather will prepare for you. But that was definitely mentally very good for me to I felt well prepared for any kind of weather because I've experienced really bad days at the mountains, like a lot of snowstorms and a lot of thunderstorms. So I guess it makes you feel better if you have this experience.
Yeah, because it's also one of those things like, say you're someone who cycles in an area where you can generally expect sunshine, or let's face it, a lot of people will not choose to cycle when it's bad weather outside. That's fair as well. And I would nearly put my hand up in that. I'm okay to ride if bad weather comes in when I'm riding, but if it's pouring with rain outside and I'm not riding, I'm not really likely to go out for a ride, right?
Yeah.
Did you find before you went to Norway, mentally, you were okay with the idea that you would have days where you might be riding in the rain because of your experience?
Yeah, I think so. Because as I said, I've spent so many days in the mountains in a bad weather. Of course, it's different if you're hiking up to the some peak and you know there is a thunderstorm coming. Then of course you don't carry on hiking. You just turn around and go to a safe place. And the same if in the winter, if the conditions are obviously bad and dangerous, you also don't go on a ski tour when you know that there's a high risk of avalanche. But spending hours in a bad weather, I guess, teaches you like maybe people who never experience hiking in bad weather, as soon as there are some drops coming, they would turn around and go home. But if you spend more hours in a bad weather, maybe you are more resilient against the bad weather. And especially on a trip like I had in Norway, you have this whole journey in front of you, and it's not like, okay, I just need to get somewhere tonight and then it's over. So if I get wet or cold, then whatever, I'm going to sleep in my bed at home. I'm going to have a hot shower and feel well again. But you still have to also think about, okay, if I get completely wet, I still need to pitch my tent somewhere. I need to spend the night somewhere, and the next day I have to carry on, and the day after I have to carry on again because I still have another 1,000 kilometers ahead.
Because, like you were saying, you were pretty lucky with the weather. It was bad weather, but it was mainly bad weather overnight. How do you think you would have gone if, you had bad weather for 2 weeks during the day as well?
I think that would have been a mental struggle.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be. And anyone who says that would have been fine, I think you're kidding yourself. Like,
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks in a row of bad weather and Norwegian conditions, weather conditions, I think that must be very hard.
something that did happen for you, Slauka, when you were riding there was you got afflicted with really bad back pain, and that was not good. And I noticed you took time out from your ride to deal with that and to recuperate or recover, find some painkillers as well. How did that factor into your time frame? Because I know that you only had a small amount of time to do this journey. So did you always factor in and buffer in rest days or recovery days so that either things are going well and you like a place, you'll stay longer, or I might have to wait weather out, so I'm going to have some buffer days up my sleeve to do that?
Yeah, I actually had 20 days for the whole trip because I bought my flight to Norway on the 20th, and I had exactly 20 days to come to the airport in Lakselv, which was the city I was flying back home. So I had exactly 20 days, and I counted on 15 days of traveling. So I had 5 days for bad weather, or if I would get sick, or if there was some technical problems with the bike or anything else. So I always had this feeling that, okay, whatever happens, I still have those 5 days extra. And I took a day off in Alta because of my back pain. Because actually 2 days before I met another cyclist, and we cycled for 2 days together. And I think we would carry on maybe a day or two more. But as my back pain was getting very bad, I decided to take a day off in Alta, just not to sit on a bike and just relax and take a lot of painkillers and do like a self back massage. And yeah. And it did well. It did good because I could cycle. Then on the next day, I could hop on a bike and cycle again. So those rest days were always very good. And I also found a way how to cycle those long distances on every day with the back pain. So I knew that the pain would come maybe after 15, 20 kilometers. And then I would obviously have to stop, do some exercises, maybe lay down a little bit, to stretch a little bit. So I planned the day differently after the back pain came. So I started earlier, and I counted like I have to stop after every 15 or 20 kilometers, take a half an hour break, do some stretching, and then do another 20 kilometers. And then again, a short break for the back, and then another 20 kilometers. So I knew I have to count in maybe 2 or 3 hours longer because of my back.
But you found a way to manage it as well. It's very smart.
Thank you.
It is one of those things, it harks back to that idea of there is a solution, you will find a way. And whether that's because you've run out of food, or your equipment's broken, or the road's covered in snow, or the ferry that's meant to run's not running, or if you've got back pain, there's a way somehow. Or earlier, everything's not going great, it's the end of the day, but then all of a sudden some amazing Italian person just turns up beside you and rides your bike up the pass for you. Like, there is a solution. Yeah. Was the back pain something that existed for you before this bikepacking journey, or was it something that came up for you through this cycling?
No, I actually never had back pain before, but I also never ridden so many days with so many kilometers.
Yeah, because you were averaging about 100 kilometers a day, weren't you?
Yeah.
And fully loaded. Like, you know, at the start of the show, we were talking about the mini adventures you were taking. Had you done some practice rides as part of that? Like, had you practiced like putting gear on your bike and riding for 100 kilometers a few days in a row or anything like that?
Yeah, I think I did 3 test rides with a fully loaded bike. Not for such a long distance. I think the longest was like 35 kilometers or something. But actually one day I went cycling in like pouring rain because I wanted to make sure like all the straps of all the bags are holding in place when it's raining. Because of course it's different when you go cycling when it's sunny and it's dry. And then you go out when it's raining and all the straps get loose and all the bags are starting to move and everything. So I actually did a test ride in a very bad weather as well.
That's grim. It takes a certain amount of mental fortitude to make yourself go out the door in conditions like that. The only time I've really pushed myself to do it on purpose has been A, when I've been on a bike tour and I've had no choice, or B, I don't own a car here in France, and that's by choice. And so if I absolutely have to go to the supermarket to get some groceries and it's raining outside, and well, hello, you're riding in the rain today.
Yeah.
I won't say I enjoy it. I think there's a certain amount of pride you get after the fact for doing it, though.
Yeah, it's such a nice feeling afterwards, right?
Afterwards, yeah, after the hot shower and the hot cup of coffee.
But I think that's a good thing about having a dog, because I think that's also a way how you learn to go out no matter what's the weather outside.
Yes, of course, because Henry needs walking.
Yeah.
What's he like if it's bad weather? Does he go out every single day?
He really likes to go out anytime. He really loves the snow. He really loves to roll in the snow. So in winter especially, he really loves to go out.
He's such a golden retriever.
Yeah,
Does
he
he
is.
really love food as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I always thought if I was a dog, I would be a golden retriever.
Yeah.
Or a Labrador, and I'd get really fat because I eat all the food. But anyway. But no, you're right. And it is mentally, because I think what you touched on there, and all jokes aside about dogs and everything aside, what we touched on there, I think for anyone who's never done something like this before and is planning to, I think it's a great mental hack, because if you can make yourself experience difficult moments in a controlled way, like you did before you went there, then when you're on a bike tour and the worst of the weather is hitting you, you can always reflect back on, well, I've done this before. And knowing that you've done something and gotten through something before mentally just helps you so much to continue on and get through.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually very happy that I tested so many different situations. I pitched my tent in my living room, I don't know how many times, just to make sure I know how it works, even if it's like very, very bad weather.
I did that when I got my tent, my first freestanding tent. And the first time I got it, because it's freestanding, I pitched it up inside my house. I actually slept in it overnight. I loved it.
I slept in my one as well, with Henry, actually.
Hey, shout out listeners. There's going to be some of you who can relate to this, what Slauka and I have done. If you have slept in your own tent and pitched inside your house, let me know. Get in touch with me and tell me.
Yeah, I mean, these preparations before, I think, are very important. Like either riding with fully loaded bike in nice and in bad weather, just practice pitching your tent. Just make sure you pack your stuff. Learn how to pack your stuff, because also like during the day when you need to get something out of your bed and you realize that it's at the very bottom and it's raining outside and it's windy and you just need to get the one glove that is at the very bottom of your bag, and you need to go through all your jackets, stuff, and food and everything. It's good to know how to pack as well, I think, so that you think about what things you might need during the ride, like little snacks, or maybe a scarf or a sunglasses or a glove or an extra layer to have it packed on the top of your bag. So it's easily accessible. And like all this practicing before, I think it helped me a lot. And also it gives you confident maybe. So if you appear in the situation, you already know, like, I've practiced it so much, what can happen.
That is so true. And it's funny, I find it always takes me a few days of bike touring to remember the right way to pack my stuff.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and other people will know this too. And then there becomes a routine of this goes on this bag, this goes in this bag, or if you've got panniers, this is in the left pannier, this is in the right pannier, this is on my feed bags, this is in my frame bag.
Yeah, exactly.
When you do get that right and dialed right in, gosh, that's a good feeling too.
Yeah, exactly. One mistake that I did was that I packed all my bags at home. And I had a pile of clothes that I knew I would be wearing. So I packed, obviously, all the rest of the clothes and the kitchen and everything. Not thinking about what am I going to do when it's warm and
you're
sunny.
Not wearing all the warm clothes.
Exactly. And then also you go shopping and you need to shop some food for like 2 days or something. So I have to admit, I don't know, I think I have some photos. I might post them one day that I look like a Christmas tree, because
oh, I need to see this photo. You just have to send it and own it, and also do it in a way that it's going to help other people.
Yeah, I mean, I had, I think, 3 or 4 days when it was like 17 or 18 degrees. So I was cycling in my shorts and just a long sleeve, no jacket, no warm layer. And I mean, obviously, I loved those days because it was sunny and the views were beautiful. But I was somehow wishing that it would get cold again, because I didn't want to like cycle as a Christmas tree, because I wanted to wear those clothes that were just hanging from all the sides of the bicycle.
Yeah. You know what it sort of reminds me of? I had it sort of a little bit but not in this way, because I wasn't bikepacking. In May, actually, when you were in Norway, I was visiting great friend of mine, Alison, in Glasgow. Hi, Alison. And I got to ride with previous podcast guest, Isa Murtag, as well. Hi, Isa. in Scotland, and Scotland had the most amazing warm weather ever, like really, really warm. I don't think there was actually a literal cloud in the sky the whole time I was there. Unheard of, right? But I didn't pack expecting that. So I remember getting to Alison's house and saying, we're going to have to ride really early in the morning because I've actually only got cold weather cycling gear with me.
Yeah.
When you plan for it to be miserable and actually it's not.
Yeah. It's good to be prepared for everything.
Yeah. Can I ask you, what was it like experiencing endless daylight?
That was pretty cool, actually, I have to say, because you don't really need to think about time as you're used from home. Like, okay, I need to be back home at 9 o'clock because it's dark already, or I need to find a place to pitch my tent by 9 o'clock at night because it's gonna be dark. You don't have this feeling because it's 24 hours of daylight, which also helps you if the weather is bad. You don't need to think about, okay, what time shall I start cycling? Because it's only the good weather winter is only going to be for 3 or 4 hours before it gets dark. You just wait until it stops raining and then you start cycling. You don't think about the time because you have another, 12 hours of good weather. So it doesn't matter if it's at 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock at night. So
what about sleeping? Like you would have brought an eye mask or something. You'd have to, wouldn't you? Because it's never going to be dark.
Yeah. That was yeah. I had a hat around my eyes. But the funny thing was that I actually never felt tired in the evening, and I think it was because of the light. I would normally stop cycling maybe around 9 or 10:30 or something like that, and I would pitch my tent, cook dinner, and then obviously it would be a time to go to sleep, but it was still bright outside. So you didn't really feel like, oh, I'm tired, I need to go to bed. Most of the days, I did not fall asleep before 1 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that'd be tough because I was wondering, there's the awesome part of you've got all this extra window of time where you could ride if the weather's really bad. Well, it's daylight all the time, so you don't have to think of this, restricted schedule. But on the flip side, how does that impact our own body's natural circadian rhythms where we're up at a certain time and we're hungry at a certain time and we're sleepy at a certain time? So you noticed that impact during your ride.
Yeah, very much. And also in the evening, I could have ridden 120 kilometers maybe, but because of the light, I never felt really tired. I never felt like, oh, I'm so tired, I need to go to bed. And that's funny because when I arrived back at home, it's pitch dark at 10 o'clock. And I maybe was not doing anything during the whole day. And when it was already getting dark at 9 o'clock or 9:30 in the evening, I was already like, oh yeah, it's time to go to bed. So I would, I guess, mentally get tired because it was the time to go to bed. And I never had this in Norway.
Can I ask you something I've just thought of? When it's, perpetual daylight, something I really look forward to when I'm riding here or wherever I'm riding, even in Australia, and if I'm riding early in the morning or late in the evening, is like hearing the bird song and hearing the, the birds singing with the sunrise and the sunset. What happens there?
They're singing all night long.
Oh, that's fun.
Well, I actually remember one night where I didn't sleep well. I don't know for what reason. But I woke up again and again, and there was all these birds singing. And normally I also like it very much because here they start to sing when it gets brighter in the morning. So for me, it's like a sign of morning, of getting up. And they were singing all night long. And I was like, oh my God, birds, what the hell is wrong with you? Just shut up. I want to sleep.
This is where you need to be thankful that it's not the bird song of like an Australian cockatoo or something, because that would be horrific all night long.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And listeners, if you've never heard a cockatoo, put it into Google and listen to it. It's not the sort of song you want to hear all night long for sure. Speaking of animals, we have to talk about the reindeer.
Oh, yeah. The Rudolphs.
Rudolph. What was it like seeing Rudolph everywhere?
It was pretty amazing. They are literally everywhere. Like it was, I don't know, thousands of them, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're never at risk of going to Norway and not seeing a reindeer.
No, I think that's the one thing I really can promise you. If you go cycling to Northern Norway, you will definitely see some reindeers.
And you saw little ones as well, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But did you actually know that all those reindeers in Norway, they belong to someone? So they are not like wild reindeers.
Oh, wow. Is it sort of like here where I am, like in the Pyrenees, they have like cattle that graze up on the high mountain
Mm-hmm.
slopes, but they all belong to someone. Is it the same with
Yeah,
reindeer?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
And is it open pastures? Like they roam free, but they.
yeah. There are some fences, but normally they just cross the streets, like they're yeah just walking around. Yeah, and some of them actually have the bells around their neck.
Just like here in the mountains.
Yeah.
Oh, in my little village, there's just a congregation just recently of, I think it's about 6 or 7 sheep and 2 donkeys, and the sheep have got these little bells. So it's really cute at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. In the morning, you can hear them ding, 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 and it's really, really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
But no, I didn't know that they had reindeer bells.
yeah. Some of them have even like a color marks. I think they spray them with something like I think it's just an X or something on their back.
It's the same here in the mountains. You see the markings on the sheep, and in Australia, you would have like actual tags in some of the ears of the animals, like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
identification and stuff. But no, I didn't know that. I just thought they were. I thought they just were naturally occurring there. Wow.
I didn't know that either, but I went to Wild Caribou Museum, I think it was called. They actually explained to me that there is this caribou, which is kind of a wild reindeer, but they don't have them in Norway. All the reindeers in Norway are actually from farms. And you have those people going and check on them during the season, like with quads or yeah, motorbikes.
Well, there you go. Didn't know this at all. So you used a lot of ferries. Obviously, you would had to cross from island to island. But then something else that is in Norway quite a lot are tunnels as well to cycle through. We're going to talk about the Nordkap tunnel soon, but I have seen, and did you experience in Norway, I've seen footage of like a tunnel or maybe a few tunnels where as a cyclist, you press a button
Yeah.
and like it alerts car drivers that there's a bike rider in the tunnel. Did you come across that?
Yeah, it's I think it was actually in most of the tunnels, if not in all of them.
Even the Nordkap tunnel as well?
Um, hmm. I don't remember that one. But most of the tunnels, they have this huge red button before the entering of the tunnel, and there is a light on the top of it, which is when you press the button, it starts blinking.
Yep.
So all the cars know there is a cyclist in the tunnel.
And then do you press a button on when you exit it so it stops blinking, or?
No, I think it's just some time they guess you need to pass the tunnel. So maybe a couple of minutes.
Because tunnels can be really, really cold in those sort of environments. I have to admit, I really don't like riding through really long, like fully enclosed tunnels. Like, what was your experience of that?
I didn't enjoy any of the tunnels in Norway, I have to say. Some of them were very narrow, like you didn't have a cycling path on the side. And the tunnel itself was also very, very narrow. Like I remember one tunnel was actually, I would say only like one way tunnel. And they were only I think maybe every 100 or 200
A
meters, there was
passing lane.
exactly. So that was quite scary. And they were also very dark. So it's not like a lot of light inside. It was very cold. It was very windy and super loud.
Yeah, and oh no, I don't like that. I don't like that because the Nordkap tunnel is notorious as well. I'm trying to remember how many kilometers is it? Is it 6 kilometers? Is it 10 kilometers? It's a fair way.
Now I don't remember if it's 6.8 or 7.8 kilometers.
And you drop down like
212 meters, yeah.
below sea level, which you then
Yeah.
obviously have to climb back up again.
And it's, yeah, that's some climb up there. It's on 3 kilometers, 200 vertical meters.
Yeah, so it's like 7% gradient. Wow.
Yeah.
What was it like dealing with that tunnel? And was that the longest tunnel you had to go through?
Yeah, that was the longest one. There is one before, which is 4.2 kilometers, I think. So
Oh.
also quite a long one. Yeah. But the Nordkap Tunnel is the longest one. And yeah, I was lucky that it wasn't that busy.
Yeah, I was going to say another reason to go at that time of the year as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also another situation where I thought like, okay, this is like the one of the bad moments in Norway, because I was not scared in the tunnel, but you just can't start thinking about what could happen there and how would you get out of the tunnel if something happens, because it's a long way out of the tunnel. So if there would be something happening, like the way to get out of the tunnel is very, very long. So you just cannot get like this catastrophic thoughts.
Yeah.
And I was like getting into, I would say, like a little panic attack when I was down there, minus 212 meters below the sea level. And a light at the end of the tunnel saved me, like literally, because there was a light.
It was a bike light though, wasn't it?
It was a bike light, and when I looked in front of me, it literally looked like a light at the end of the tunnel, which is coming closer and closer. And I didn't know if I was hallucinating or what, but there was actually this bike light coming closer to me. And there was this girl called Georgina who just cycled the other way from North Cape down to Denmark, and we just met 200 meters under the sea level in the most scariest place of the tunnel.
Was she happy to see you as well?
Yeah, she was super happy to see me, and I was super happy to see her, because I was really like getting scared there.
I mean, you were going in opposite directions though.
Exactly, and we met actually at the very bottom of the tunnel, so at the deepest place of the tunnel.
The point where you both have a hill climb to get out.
Yeah, exactly. So also again a moment when I thought like, oh my God, this is getting really bad. I'm really getting scared. Then something very nice happened. So basically the same situation as I had on Senia with Paolo. Ciao, Paolo.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I ask? I know this sounds like a silly question. You know how you've got to go through the tunnel to get to Nordkap? Does that mean, did you have to go through the tunnel twice? Like, do you have to go through the tunnel to leave it as well?
Yeah, you have to. There is last 135 kilometers or something like that. There's only one road. So you have to go one direction to the North Cape, and you have to do it again on the way back.
So second time, what was it like the second time? Because you'd survived the first time, was it okay? Or could you hitchhike, or was there another option?
I didn't go through the tunnel the second time by bike because I really didn't want to go there again. So I actually hopped on the bus in Honningsvåg. They took me over the three tunnels. There are actually three tunnels, the Nordkap Tunnel and then the 4.2 kilometers. And then there is a third one, which is around 3 kilometers. So I took a bus over the three tunnels.
And putting your bike on the bus, that was all okay to do?
Yeah. They actually put it inside, like under the
Underneath,
yeah, and that was okay. It was only two ladies and me on the bus, so it was quite okay. I don't know how is it like in the middle of the season with a lot of bikers. You actually can take a boat to Honningsvåg. Some people do it, but I think it's like quite expensive. And to go once through the Nordkap Tunnel, I think it's something you should experience as well. I mean, it's a really bit weird experience, but I think you should do it once, but not necessarily doing it twice.
Yeah, I think it's something about the noise and the cold and the dark. Because it would have been really, really cold, right?
Yeah, it was actually very cold, but you need to first cycle those 200 meters down.
Yeah, so you're descending.
So you have to put all of the
Of your
clothes
layers
on you
on.
because and then you need to bike up those 200 vertical meters.
Your GPS unit's not going to be working either.
No.
So you don't know how far you've gone either, do you?
You do, because there are signs. There were signs every, I don't remember if it was every half a kilometer or every kilometer. I think every half kilometer you have a sign.
Oh, I would have loved counting those signs off.
Yeah, but climbing those 7% up, it's like it's taking ages to go from one side to another.
Oh yeah, I've experienced that here in the mountains, where there's a sign every kilometre that tells you what's to come in the next kilometre, and sometimes those signs take quite a while to get to each other.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me! You know, a place like Norway, Slauka, just a place where nature is so grand, so big, so beautiful. Like moments of awe would be coming at you left, right, and center. Where's a place where you just felt it overwhelmingly so much?
I think my favorite part was the Lingen Alps.
Okay, whereabouts is that?
It's about in the middle behind Tromsø.
Mm-hmm.
That was for me definitely the nicest part. I first thought it would be Lofoten because Lofoten are beautiful and they are so famous and everything, but the mountains there were too rough for me, too steep, and there was almost no snow. But when I entered the Lingen Alps, it was like in a painting. It was so beautiful. Like you have the ocean, you have those deep fjords, and it was spring already, so the grass was very nice green, like this shiny green, and then you have these snowy mountains in the back with the blue sky. It was just amazing. I was cycling very slow because I was just looking right and left, and like I couldn't stop looking at those mountains, and all day long I was just like, wow, wow, this is so beautiful, this is so amazing.
Oh, so what are they called? The Lingen Alps.
Lingen Alps, yeah.
Sounds amazing. And exactly how I picture myself riding through Norway.
Yeah, and there was also a part where I think I met like 2 3 cars during the whole day, like very quiet, like not many people, no cyclists at all, and yeah, it was beautiful. That was definitely the for me the nicest part of the whole trip.
And did you enjoy that aspect, that feeling of being in a really isolated place?
Yeah, I actually like being by myself a lot, and I love looking at the mountains. Like some of my close friends, they know I could sit up on the mountain all day long and just watch mountains.
Do you know who you remind me of? And she'll be listening to this, and you'll probably laugh when you hear it. You remind me of Rebecca Gross, who's also in Austria. Well, she's in Central Asia at the moment, being a champion in her happy place, which is surrounded by mountains. But her and I often swap messages on WhatsApp talking about mountains, and it's exactly this.
Yeah, so I was like I felt like in a paradise. Yeah, I took a lot of breaks. I stopped quite some times just to sit and enjoy the moment.
Speaking of the moment that you get to Nordkap, what was that like?
Uh, oh wow. I think I'm getting emotional now when I think about it. It was obviously amazing feeling. Like finally, after 15 days, reaching the goal, reaching the place you've been dreaming of for I don't know how long. I was so happy. I felt so proud that I managed to come to that place, and I was so happy and lucky that everything actually went so well. I was also very sad that kind of the trip was over. Like now I have reached the end of the world. So yeah, now this is it. So yeah, but it was amazing. I remember I cried so long. I came there and I don't think I even taken any pictures, and I called my dad just to let him know that I arrived, and I was obviously crying when talking to him. Yeah, we just had a quick chat, and then I stayed there, and I think I cried for another 20 minutes, just like it was something between happy tears and
Bittersweet.
sad tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but it was amazing. It was yeah, really really nice moment.
When you reflect back on the whole trip altogether there, Slauka, and you think of what you had dreamt up in your mind and what you'd planned and researched about with Norway and then getting there, how did it meet your expectations? What was reality like and your perceptions of it and reality, and how did they marry up?
I think I was lucky that I was picturing this whole trip to go well. I was, of course, preparing myself for some situations, but I somehow didn't let myself think something would really go wrong.
Yeah.
And maybe this was the positive effect that everything actually really went well. I was maybe sometimes before the trip, I was like, okay, if I really am ready to go for a trip like this, I've never done any bikepacking trip before. I've hiked a lot and I wild camp a lot, but I've never done anything like this on a bike. So before the trip, I was a little bit worried if I would be able to do it.
Yeah.
So of course the feeling at the end when I reached North Cape, it was like, okay, yeah, I did it. I made it to the North Cape with zero experience of bike packing, and everything went well. So yeah, it was just great.
Oh, you should feel so proud of yourself. Like, I just think of the adventure you've had, and I've seen the videos and I've seen photos, and you should be super darn proud of yourself for what you did. And like you said, you've shown that you can do these things too. That's an awesome feeling to have, isn't it? That self assuredness in what you can do and your capability.
It's an amazing feeling, and I really wish to everyone to experience this and have the strength and the courage to try. Maybe it will not all go well. Maybe there will be some ups and downs, but you never know until you try, right? And the feeling afterwards, that's just something amazing.
This adventure wasn't that long in the past, but do you find yourself reflecting back on it a lot? Like, do you look at photos and videos to remind yourself of it?
Yeah, I think I actually go through the pictures every day before I go to bed.
Love it. I can really, really feel that. I did that actually 2 years ago now. My husband and I, we crossed the Pyrenees from the Atlantic to the Mediterranean, up and over. I think it was 24 mountain climbs. And it was an amazing experience. And I remember when that finished, there were two things. One, I couldn't believe I did it. And it was like almost disbelief, but also this proud of, wow, I did that. And I do two things, Slauka. One was I would look at a map and I'd look at the Atlantic and I'd look at the Mediterranean and I'd look at the mountain range and the contours and I'd trace my route over and be proud. And the other one is I'd look at my photos and yeah, it's like no, and they would flood back different memories as well.
It's for me, it's like I don't really want the adventure to be over yet, so that's how I get
Prolongs
back
it.
to the, yeah, exactly, through the photos and thinking about it. And I also wrote a diary every day, so sometimes I just open it and I read some sentences from it just to get the thoughts back to Norway.
That's a mega thing to do. I have done that on my journeys. And the other thing, I'm such a podcast, I record a voice diary,
Hmm.
mainly because my handwriting is horrendous.
Sometimes I cannot read after myself either, so it's okay.
It's gotten worse since we've started typing and not actually writing more, right? But
Yeah.
every now and then, randomly, I listen to the voice diary that I made myself and listen to what did that day actually sound like. And it's hilarious how the rose tinted glasses are when you reflect back, because like you look at this photo of like bleak weather and you go, oh, that day, and it's almost glorifying the misery. I listen to the voice notes and go, oh my gosh, that was really horrible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I also don't want to forget about those little details, like those little things that happened.
Definitely. And like sometimes to me, it's like, seeing something random, it might be a different type of wildflower or just bizarre or, oh my gosh, I ate this amazing meal or whatever. But yeah, I don't want to forget those moments on those days. I 100% agree with you.
And sometimes I have these flashbacks, and sometimes I actually can't remember anymore where it was. So then I start to think, okay, so was it on that day or on that day? Was it before Tromso or was it after Tromso? And I try to put the situation in the place on the map where it happened, because I don't want to forget about it. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to have it all mixed up. Like, okay, did this happen at Alta or in Tromso or was it at Lofoten? So I find it really nice to go through those memories again, but also keep it organized.
Well, listeners, you've heard me mention looking at Slauka's photos and videos. I fully encourage you to do the same as well. Slauka's handle on Instagram is allridegirl. I'm going to be putting a link to it in the show notes. Are you on anywhere else other than Instagram, Slauka?
I started Strava when I was in Norway, because everyone was asking about Strava. So I started it, but I have to say I'm not using it that much. So Instagram is the main social media for me.
I used to be on Strava and Strava used to be my thing. And I have to say, I think it's about a year or so now, I got rid of Strava. It wasn't good for me. I was just constantly trying to beat times and records and things. And I just like, I want to be more present in the moment. It's for some people, not for
Yeah.
everyone. So, okay. So Instagram and listeners, All Ride Girl, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. Oh my gosh, Slauka, I have to wrap things up and I don't want to, but I know it's not going to be the last time I speak with you. I feel like I'm going to be sending you messages about Norway and we'll be scheming a trip together before you know it.
Yeah, definitely.
But I want to ask you the same 3 questions I ask all my guests to wrap up the show. The first one's music related. You get to pick a song now as a guest to Seek Travel Ride, and it goes on the Seek Travel Ride music playlist. One song on that playlist chosen by every single guest that's been interviewed. What song are you going to pick that is the soundtrack to your adventure?
So it would be Kissing Days by Sambuk.
I don't think I know this song.
It was actually a song that I heard before my trip to Norway. And when I heard the song, I was like picturing myself cycling through Norway, listening to this song. I don't know why. I don't know how.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did.
And so now do you listen to that and it takes you back there?
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. All right. Well, you are there on the playlist. And listeners, if you want to listen to it, I do have links in the podcast show notes or seek it out there on Spotify or Apple Music. All right, last 2 questions. Slauka, you're given a choice one day. You can turn left and ride forever on a road that is the bumpiest road in the world. It's got so many corrugations. It's a washboard surface. There's no smooth bit on it, and you're shaking so much just to try and keep a straight line. Or you can go right, but you're cycling into a really, really strong headwind that's also relentless. Which one are you going to choose?
I think I'm going to sit down, drink a coffee.
I love this. This is why we should ride together. You are my person.
And wait until the wind is gone, and then I would turn left.
See, I love this. You're a problem solver. I normally make someone pick a side. But is it you're picking the wind because you know there's hope that it might stop?
No, I don't. I think actually I would don't choose to go wind, because who likes headwinds?
Oh, have you ever experienced a really bad corrugated bumpy road before?
Well, no, not really, but I've experienced like really bad headwinds in Norway. And it was like you can count ants on the road when you're cycling with a strong heavy wind. So.
Oh my gosh, you've been shaped into someone who can now cycle in Patagonia. I think that's your experience. Remember when we were talking about how experiencing something now, then when you're in the trip, you'll go, oh, I went through this. If you'll be in Patagonia one day, Slauka, and it'll be a really bad headwind day, and you'll go, oh, remember when I was counting the ants in Norway? All right, Slauka. Final question, and I want you to finish this sentence for me. And the sentence is, the best thing about taking a bike adventure is?
To experience everything you would experience on any other trip, but much slower. You can take your time. You can decide how fast you go, where you turn, if you go right or left. You can pick whatever spot you want to sleep or you want to wake up at. And I think that's the nicest thing about taking a trip by bike.
I love it. It speaks to my soul. It's a unique answer. Like every guest's answer to this question has been, but it feels just 100% true. And I reflect what you said in what you did in Norway, and it's 100% Slauka as well. Oh my goodness. Slauka, it has been such an absolute pleasure to chat with you. What a trip, what a journey. You have solidified the idea that I 100 million% need to go cycling in Norway. I've learnt that I need to eat waffles with weird caramel cheese that are heated up in the middle there when I'm there as well. But also you've given me so much insight into what sort of things I can expect when I get there. More than anything, what I've really loved is you first got the idea for bike travel back in 2018, and for life reasons you had to put it on hold. But then you formed an adventure that even as a beginner became achievable. You figured out a way to make it happen for yourself. But you also put yourself in what we spoke about at the start of the show, in your happy place, surrounded by nature, alone where you feel most comfortable, out there experiencing all the forms of the wild. You tested yourself and knew that you would have the mental fortitude to go through some grim things. The idea that you went on a practice ride in the pouring rain just so that you knew that you'd be able to get through it. And then I could feel the sense of pride at when you achieve that goal, get to Nordkap, and the bittersweet moment of those happy/sad tears of you've done this and it's come to an end. What I 1,000,000% know though, Slauka, is that this isn't the last bike adventure for you. You and Henry have got some adventures to come, and maybe I've given you an idea for ski bike packing. Who knows? Either way, Slauka, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so, so much for sharing your stories and experiences here on the podcast for Seek Travel Ride.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was really nice to talk to you. And I'm pretty sure there was not the last chat. And I'm pretty sure we might meet at some bikepacking adventures.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, listeners, am I right? How many of you want to go to Norway now? Didn't it sound absolutely incredible? It didn't matter how much we talked about horrendous headwinds or freezing cold conditions and wet weather. To me, it just sounded like a true proper adventure. And it sounds like this part of Norway, discovering it on a bike, might be the best way to do it. I absolutely loved hearing Slauka share her story, and especially how she did a few things that would set her in good stead in certain situations. The main one was banking on some flexibility in her actual schedule. She knew that she had 20 days to cycle from where she started in Lofoten to reaching the Nordkap, but she also decided that there would be 5 days in that schedule that would allow her flexibility for whether she had equipment failures, whether there was bad weather, or in her case, experiencing debilitating back pain. And then also how she changed her riding routine to be able to cope with the back pain that she came up with. So that meant that she could continue on her journey as well. To the super hack of bringing 2 sleeping bags, which gave her a layering sleep system and meant that she would never be too hot or too cold. I think that was absolutely incredible. And what about those roadside angels? Paolo from Italy. Ciao, Paolo. What a legend you are. And then also meeting the other cyclists in the tunnel and giving each other that little bit of courage to keep going on. I absolutely loved it. Make sure to check Slauka out on Instagram at AllRideGirl. And let's keep an eye out together and see where her next adventure takes her. Probably with her dog Henry, dog packing. Here she comes. Now, listeners, if you enjoy listening to these episodes of the podcast and you want to help this independent podcaster out, you can do so by buying me a virtual coffee. Go to buymeacoffee.com/Seek Travel Ride. Buy me some virtual coffees, but most importantly, let me know what is it that you love about tuning into the podcast and where is your next bike adventure taking you. And until the next episode, I'm Bella Malloy. Thanks for listening. All right, that's it for today's episode. And if you're still listening, it probably means that you care about doing long rides and taking bike adventures, which means that you will also care about doing them in comfort. So here's my pitch. Red White Apparel. I wear them, I love them, they're comfy, they're smartly designed. For women, they're pee-break friendly. Need I say more? Support them because they support this podcast. Click the link in the show notes and check them out for yourself.